everyone. Welcome to the 68th episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores and I'm playing Janina of Clan Bruja.
Hi, my name is Faye and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
And as always, we have partners here taking care of tech for us and helping to manage the chat, for which we are very grateful. And we are very grateful for you joining us again to continue the story of Bea and Janina. We really appreciate you being here. All right, so let's get started with a recap of what happened last time, especially since we had a bit longer break. So to bring everyone up to speed, we began with Janina returning from her unexpected date with her lover, Nastya. She came back to Hotel Bristol and found her sire, Daniel, waiting for her, worried since she just disappeared from the lab where she was working with her ghoul Hannah and Magdalena the Tremere. Janina admitted to Daniel that she was with Nastya and that she warned her about the blood hunt. And that conversation was overheard by Bea, who also returned to Hotel Bristol from her own outing to maintain her relationship with the Sabbat on the orders from the Camarilla. They didn't speak to each other yet, but Janina went to check in on Hannah, who was scared and shaking, very worried that Janina disappeared without a word, especially after an unknown kindred was asking after Janina previously at her haven. Meanwhile, Bea went to report to Mr. Cernovsky on what happened during her encounter with the Sabbat. She was told to still wait before releasing Arek to proceed with helping him heal, but to get a confirmation from Mr. Cernovsky before actually releasing him. Bea also visited Roman, Kateri's friend, and Nosferatu, who's been recently injured, and they spent quite a lot of time talking. Bea sharing her fears, talking about missing her sire, and telling Roman that she was worried for Janina. And Roman, during the conversation, gave Bea space to just spend some time with him, but also advised her to talk to Janina and share her worries and thoughts with her sister. And he also warned Bea about Clan Tremere that she's working for. Janina introduced her ghoul Hannah to Daniel, her sire, and she also spoke to Magdalena, who asked if she could take some blood from Janina's project for her sire, Mr. Cernovsky. Janina was reluctant, but agreed for Magdalena to take some blood if there is enough there in the project. Magda also spoke to Janina about her history with Mara, who was killed by the Sabbat. And she shared that Mr. Cernovsky was working to kill Zimovit, the Zimishi, who killed Mara and also killed the Malkavian Leonard during attack on Hotel Bristol. After that, Janina was asked to come speak with Roman, who revealed he knew she was in trouble but didn't really want to know some details of it. But he shared that he was worried about Bea and prompted Janina to speak to her sister as well. And after that, Bea and Janina finally spoke to each other. They shared some of their secrets and worries and fears. Once again, trusting each other after a long period of hiding things. During the conversation, Bea for example, told Janina about her new ghoul, Edward Domansky, whom she rescued, and more importantly, advised Janina to tell Antoni, the sheriff, what happened with Nastia, to which Janina agreed and left a message for Antoni at the reception to speak with her. And Bea, having spoken with Janina, ventured out of the hotel to where Gravedigger, the Sabbat Nosferatu, was to leave her blood for Arak. And she found there a wheelbarrow with 2 recently killed people in there and realized fully that they died because of her. And we ended with Bea standing over that wheelbarrow, feeling that she hates herself for what she made happen. And that is where we will pick up with Bea. You're standing in this rather dark corner of a mostly ruined building over the wheelbarrow with 2 bodies, young man and young woman, dressed more elegantly as if for an outing.
I think I take a moment. Well, I definitely take a moment to just consider the fact that these 2 people have died because of me. But eventually the practicality of the situation does kind of hit me, and I'm now left going, what am I to do with them? I need to transport them back to the hotel. And I feel kind of gross even thinking about the practicalities while still standing over their corpses. But I mean, I can't stand out here forever, and I can't leave them here. I mean, I think I covered them back up. If not, I will do so.
Yeah, I think you also grabbed like a tablecloth to help you with covering bodies.
How, in terms of like wheeling the barrow back to the hotel, I presume there's going to be like rubble and
it's
debris.
gonna require a roll. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah. Okay. I think firstly, I consider the fact that I probably need to increase my strength to be able to make this happen, or at least manage it more smoothly. But I'm aware that that will involve spending blood, and there's a part of me that just feels like I'm standing there looking at these 2 corpses and just thinking about using blood to move them, and it just seems gross and wasteful. And I know I'll need to feed afterwards, and the idea of trying to feed on a person after this is just unpleasant. But I need to get on with things. I can't just stand here all night, so I will channel the blood into my muscles and increase my strength.
How much do you want to increase it? You're not in a hurry. You can spend as much as you want.
Yeah, I also don't want to be too low on blood, so I'm going to spend 1 and just go up to 3.
All right. Then roll your strength and athletics with difficulty 7.
Okay. Ooh, that's actually a pretty decent roll. That is 3 successes.
Then, relying on the strength granted, by your Vita, you start pushing the wheelbarrow over the rubble. Um, it is fairly heavy. There are two people in there, and the ground is not. It's not easy to move anything through it, but you manage fairly well, going forward and forward. And finally, you manage to get it out of the area that is covered by rubble, and you are in a smaller street. And you can keep going towards the hotel, no problem.
Okay.
But you know there will be potentially some more people, potentially some people at the cafe who are roaming around the hotel.
Well, I did leave the side entrance open.
Yes,
so,
you did.
But I guess what I'd like to do is increase my sense of hearing, so that I can just be aware of the sounds of people, and if need to, I can sort of just know where they are and try and wait for a moment where the street is quieter. I mean, it's after midnight, so I'm hoping that the street isn't going to be hugely busy, but
no, it won't. It's mostly the people who might like step out of the hotel for a wander or leaving the cafe that you need to worry about. As you continue towards the hotel, you listen, and you indeed hear there are some people leaving the hotel, and they are walking down the street you would be taking to get all the way to Hotel Bristol.
Okay.
But some of them glance in your direction, maybe a bit curiously, as you're there with a wheelbarrow. But no one pays that much attention.
Okay. I guess if there's like any quieter side streets I can go down or anything, then take those. If not, just head
So
to the
you
hotel.
would, I assumed you did, but you can't take them all the way up to the hotel.
No, I understand that. But yeah, just try and be as roundabout. I've got time, so.
And eventually you get there and you see lights in the window of the hotel.
Okay. Sort of pause and listen again. See if I can hear sounds of anyone, and then head towards the side door.
So you head towards the side door. You see as you are approaching the hotel, you hear it before. You see there's a few people saying goodbyes, not near you, at the main entrance, and someone leaves the hotel, restaurant, and cafe, but doesn't head down this street.
Okay.
And you are at the side door, and again you hear some movement inside. Someone is pushing a food cart. Someone is shouting for someone to hurry up. Someone is complaining that they want to go home already. But you will find a moment where you can enter.
Okay.
What is your plan for that? Do you just want to push the wheelbarrow into the hotel, or?
Well, I don't know how I'm carrying them otherwise.
I'm just asking, just making sure.
Yeah, unless I had
understand.
some harebrained scheme. I'm afraid I have not planned my wheelbarrow heist particularly well, so wheelbarrow it is.
So you want to find a way to move through the hotel with a wheelbarrow without attracting anyone's attention. You have your senses.
Is there like a side? I know that Roman got stored is perhaps the wrong word, but left in like a side room for a little bit, and he wasn't disturbed there.
He was, yeah. You can find that room. It's quite close to.
If I can, okay. I can always sort of duck in there for a moment and sort of consider things and sort of listen out whilst I'm thinking. Arek's room. Arek is being held in the basement, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would need to go
to get to the
along some
stairwell.
corridors and get to that stairwell.
Okay.
It's not really long route. There's a bit of, zigzagging down corridors, and then
Okay.
you'll be there.
Would it be possible to find? No, I don't think there's going to be. No, ignore me. I was about to say something that didn't make sense. Let me just have a look at my abilities again.
Would you like a moment to consider? Because we can jump
Yes,
to Janina.
please. I think so.
And you can think about it.
Thank you.
Let's do that then. Janina, unaware that Bea is just wheeling bodies back to Hotel Bristol.
That's not something Janina would think about.
No. So you just left a message for Antoni at the reception, and you are beginning to head back. You were intending to go back to your room to wait until Hannah returns with Magda from working at your lab. And as you're walking up the stairs and you are at the balcony level, you hear someone call to you. Hey, Janina.
Who is it?
You turn and you see Yagoda, the gangrel hound.
Okay.
She's sitting there in simple trousers, a beige shirt. She's wearing sunglasses and she's smoking, just leaning back in a chair.
I turn around and I say, hi.
How is it going?
Good, I guess.
Come on, take a seat.
And I a bit reluctantly take a seat.
Why are you reluctant?
Because I want to speak to Antoni about Nastya and not with her, because I'm not I don't know her all that well.
No.
So I'm trying to be composed and seem like everything's fine because I only want to talk to Antoni.
Yeah. You would remember, because she hasn't appeared for a while, that the last time you spoke, she warned you about trusting Nastya and hoping for the best with her.
Yeah.
And you would also generally, that did happen.
Yeah, I believe you, but I don't remember.
She was leaving to find her sire. And
did we last time spoke when Zygmunt died?
And I think you spoke once after when she told you not to assume that Nastya is innocent in all this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah. So she asks, so how have you been?
Well, I'm trying, staying out of trouble, working on my project, taking care of ghouls. Just the usual stuff.
Proper Camarilla life.
Looks like it. How have you been doing?
Well, I found my sire. I even got her to come here, so...
Oh.
Well, I suppose that's a success.
Is she all right?
Oh, she's fine. I mean, in a terrible mood. Every time she's here, she's in a terrible mood. Every time she's in the city, I think she's in a terrible mood. Even when it lies in ruin.
I see.
But she's fine, and she's gonna help us strike at the Sabbat.
That's good to hear. Is she here in the building?
Yeah, speaking to some of the other primogen.
All right.
Just waiting.
Mm.
Haven't seen her in, well, a few years now.
Well, I'm glad she's fine and that you reunited again.
Thank you. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Well, I'm glad she's fine at least, but I'm not sure how she feels about being reunited with me.
Are you not on good terms?
Well, not exactly. I'm something of a disappointment, I think.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, I suppose you would know that feeling. But she says, but it's not meant to be mean.
Yeah, I
She's
know.
just kind of laughing. You want to smoke?
Oh, I haven't done this since I was a teenager, but
Well, now
let's give
it
it a
can't
go.
kill you.
Yeah, that's true. It maybe will make me look cooler, and I'll take one.
And she gives you a
cigarette.
cigarette and lights a match and lights it for you.
Mm.
Does nothing really, but it's comforting.
And I'm trying like to smoke it the way I used to.
And you smoke there for a moment, and she's considering you. I've got perception and empathy.
What's the difficulty?
6.
Okay, then I have 3 successes.
3 successes. Then you see that she wants to talk to you about something, but she's a bit awkward about it. She's a bit uncertain how to bring it up. She's a bit self-conscious.
Okay, then I'll ask her, is there anything you want to talk to me about?
Yeah, listen. And you see that she is she wants to, but she is self-conscious.
Mm.
So this is like, well, it's not, it may be meaningless, but I was thinking of going to Powązki Cemetery, to Zygmunt's family tomb. Some of his descendants are buried there, and he would visit sometimes, and I thought I would go to leave some of his ashes in there.
Yes, that's actually a very nice idea. I didn't know that. Would you mind if I joined you?
That's what I wanted to ask you. I thought you might want to.
Of course, I would love to.
Shall we go tomorrow?
Yes, but I don't have anything tomorrow, right?
No, you don't.
Okay,
You were thinking
good.
of like maybe going to the lab, but it's not
Okay,
something that you have to do.
All right, then good. Because Janina would definitely remember if she had.
No, you don't have anything.
It's just me. I don't remember anything.
I will remind you of those things.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
Thank you so much. Then I will agree on meeting her tomorrow and going there.
Glad. Let's do that then.
Yes, that's really a great idea.
She kind of nods her head, and because you rolled way better than she did, you see that she's now thinking about Zygmunt, and there is this sadness, this sense of loss.
I think about him too. And yeah, I feel a lot of like the same things as her, and because I feel like with all of this, like my own like troubles with Nastya and everything else, I just put that to the side. But I feel like on the back of my mind, I kind of don't really realize that he's gone until like someone brings it up, because like sometimes I feel like, yeah, I could like go to Zygmunt for advice or anything, but now it's settling in that he's really gone whenever like someone talks about him and I remember. So yeah, I feel like sadness and loss as well.
And you're sitting there with your Goda, smoking, in this moment of silence. Meanwhile, Bea, what are you doing in the end?
Yes, I did finally come up with an idea. I would like to use Mask of 1,000 Faces to make myself look like a porter.
Yes, of course, you can do this. That would be manipulation and performance with difficulty 7.
Okay. Manipulation and performance. Difficulty 7. 2 7s and a 9, so 3 successes. Oh, no, that's a 2. That's fine.
That's still enough successes to look like
a porter.
A possible porter in the uniform that people wear here at the hotel.
So I'll look a little bit weird with a wheelbarrow, but at least like I'm meant to be here.
Yes.
And won't be recognizable as me if somebody does come across me.
No, you will not. And do you come in? Do you plan to use your senses to try to navigate the place? In which case, roll your wit and stealth, and I'll give you lowered difficulty of. It's not super busy time, so 7 for not being noticed with your wheelbarrow and
That's
choosing
fair.
the right moment.
That's fair. 7. 2 successes.
All right, then you manage. You have to be careful. Excuse me, I need to sneeze.
Oh no! Bless you. Maybe not the right thing to say in a vampire game.
Maybe not. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So yes, you start heading. You're going very slowly, trying to be fairly quiet and listen, speeding up a little bit if you hear someone coming, to be able to move into a different corridor. You manage to hide in a storage locker at some point when a group of people is coming. You can sort of mask, rolling a wheelbarrow. There is a little bit of other things being rolled, the like trailers, all of that. So you manage to make it, avoiding encountering anyone, and you are in front of the staircase down.
Okay. Oh, getting this down the stairs is going to be a sport. I guess I'm just going to have to do this carefully.
Then roll your strength and athletics. You will still have your higher strength.
Wonderful.
You don't need to spend more blood on, unless you want to raise it further. Difficulty is going to be 8.
Yeah, that's fair. I might spend a willpower on this. I do not want corpses falling down the stairs. That does not seem like a good thing.
Yeah, if it fails, it's going to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. Including the willpower, that's 2 successes. It's not going to be elegant, but it'll work.
It's not the most graceful, but as willing a wheelbarrow down the stairs goes, it's decent.
Passable.
You can't do it completely quietly, but you make very little noise, as little as possible in this circumstance, and you get it down without tipping it over or anything like it.
think there's a brief moment sort of at the end where I've gotten them down the stairs and sort of almost absent-mindedly I kind of like pat where I know one of the heads to be in a like almost attempted a comforting gesture, and then sort of catch myself doing it and shudder slightly and just feel awful again. But just carry on, I suppose. I'm hoping it'll be a bit quieter down in the basement level.
Yeah, you don't like it is quieter. You don't really need to roll again.
Okay.
And you manage to get it down to the boiler room.
Right. I'm also realizing I'm not entirely sure how best to feed a torpid vampire. Or staked vampire in this case. But, well, I'll figure that out when I get there, I suppose. Head in. I had the key, I believe.
You have a key, yeah.
Yeah. I'll let myself in.
So you head in. It is pretty dark in there as always. There's only a little bit of light coming from the furnace. And Arek is lying staked on the metal table in the middle of the room. His limbs are still dried out and withered, and he's motionless.
So as I'm approaching him and standing over him, I think that's when I drop Mask of a Thousand Faces, so that he can see a recognizable face. Firstly, I would like to roll to touch him.
Go for it. Self-control.
Okay.
Difficulty, I think 8 for Arek, because, yeah.
You know, he has ripped my intestines out previously. Oh, well done. Including 2 10s, that is 4 successes.
Easily done.
So I just approach him and stroke his hair briefly, and then whisper to him, I brought you some blood. I hope that, well, once we get you fed up and healed a bit, I can get you out. Gravedigger's helping me. We'll get you out of here. And then I go to the bodies in the wheelbarrow and peel back the coverings and just stare at them for a second. And then, sort of with sort of gentleness, I'll try and hoist the woman up so that I can put her wrist over his mouth, make an incision in her wrist with a knife, and see if the blood will drain.
Roll your intelligence and medicine.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
One success.
One success. So you start doing that, but you quickly realize that you're not going to be able to definitely successfully bleed the body completely in this way. So, well, you might be able to feed him a little, some like that, definitely. But it's not going to be as much as you could if this is what you choose to do.
Okay.
You would know that the easiest way to do it is to unstake him.
I've been told not to release him And I don't think that there's a good explanation for why he can't leave yet. And I feel like trying to negotiate him back into being staked isn't going to work super well.
His limbs are all withered.
That's true. That is true. It's not going anywhere particularly fast. Okay.
You don't have to do this. I'm just,
Yeah.
presenting it as an option.
Yeah, it sure is an option. For some reason, you said his limbs were withered, but for some reason my brain just blanked it as a fact. I think it does make the most sense. So it's not like Bea knows much about medicine, so isn't going to know a better method of doing it. Okay. I tentatively sort of reach forward and say to him, I'm going to remove the stake. I just hope this works. And I'll try and pull the stake out.
And you pull it out, and we'll go back to that. Janina, you sit there for a moment, longer moment, smoking with Jagoda, thinking about Zygmunt. Is there any way thinking about Zygmunt influences how you think of Nastya or interacts with it in some way?
I think maybe it crosses my mind, but I still don't think Nastya, she was involved, but I still make excuses because I don't believe she wanted to do, because I know she cared about him too. But yeah, I feel like it makes me just sad for both of them. And yeah, I think it just depresses me more when I start to think also about Nastya.
And finally, Jagoda finishes her cigarette and squeezes it down into the ashtray, leans back on the chair, looks around through her sunglasses, looks to you. I think, well, I should probably get going, find some of the other hounds or the sheriff. Let them know I'm back.
Okay, I'm sure they will be happy to see you're safe back.
She nods her head. I'm glad you're coming tomorrow.
Me too. Thank you for telling me. Zygmunt meant a lot to me, and I would like to pay respects to him in more, I guess, traditional human way.
Yes. I'll bring a candle or something as well.
Okay.
Right, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Take care. And I get up and go back where I was going before, I guess, back to my room.
You're heading back to your room.
Yeah.
You can head there or you can do something
what
else.
What time it is?
It's second half of the night. It's not super late yet.
Okay. I still probably go to my room because I'm now depressed. So I think I just want to be alone in my room for a bit, wait for Hannah.
So you head there and you enter your room. You see you cleaned up after you trashed the place, but some of the furniture are still partially cracked after you smashed them when Bloodhound was declared on Nastia. And you're there on your own.
I guess I just lay down on the bed and think about what to do. Like, I don't know, I feel pretty hopeless because, like, I don't know, I want to be with. Oh my God, cats are fighting each other on my chair.
Oh no.
And now Michael got tangled in my sweater, but it's fine. He was angry because he was like, he felt attacked.
Oh no.
And I'm just feeling very hopeless because I feel like my situation, like in the Camarilla right now, is pretty good. Like I seem like to get along with more people, kindred, and yeah. But I also like love Nastya, and I know that as long as I know that she loves me, I will try to, I don't know, save her, help us. And I feel like it might involve me running away with her, because that's for now the only option that I see, like us two being together without like her being hurt by the Camarilla and me going back to the spot with her. So I think these are my thoughts as I'm just lying down, stressing myself.
And you later being more stressed and sad, thinking about all this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arek's eyes were open, but as you pull the stake, the first thing that happens is that he gives this scream of pain and fear, then goes quiet, looks at you, tries to move, but his limbs, they don't really move. It's his body is shaking a bit. You see that it is now withered, but his shoulder is a bit misformed, almost like forcing him to be a bit hunched. You see the fur that's covering large parts of his chest now. He looks around, and then his eyes focus on you. Says, Bear.
So I lean forward and put a hand on his cheek.
He's looking around, confused. He's glancing towards the door that you came through with certain fear, expectations. Where is he?
He's not here. He's not here. And I think I actually step forward and pull him into my arms.
He's, as you pull him up, he
or like
I'll
sort of more lean towards him then, like whatever
you lean
is
towards him. You can pull him up a little bit.
Yes.
You see that he's shaking. He's struggling to sit up, but he can't quite because his legs are all withered.
I just hold him.
And he's not really doing much. He's shaking. And then he says, "The bastard."
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And he keeps glancing towards the door.
He's not coming. He's not coming.
Bea, are you really here?
Yes.
Is this real?
I put my hand on his cheek so that he can feel my skin against his. Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Fuck. Oh, shit.
It's going to be all right. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but it is going to be all right.
All right. You see that he is close to you and he's looking at you, and there is this moment when his eyes fixate on you with this hunger, but he controls himself.
At which point I'll gently sort of lean him back down, back onto the table, and just go, I'm going to give you her rest. I need you to
Thank
drink.
You. Oh, shit.
And then I place her wrist over his mouth.
He bites in immediately. Let's see. And you see that as he bites in, he can't quite grab, so he just bites in with his teeth holding the arm in this way. And you see his face twist in this inhuman animalistic fashion, and he's drinking and drinking and drinking.
And I'm kind of frightened, but it's fine.
And eventually, he keeps kind of drinking for a bit, but then stops and spits the hand out.
And I'll pull her away and sort of
You see that there is
gently
a
place
deep
her.
wound there. He almost bit off part of the wrist as he was biting in frenzy. But he looks to you and his eyes are more lucid. That is better. That is better. Did you... Why are you doing this?
Because you never wanted to hurt me. And I forgot that for so long. Or I didn't know it in the first place, and then I forgot about our friendship, and I only thought about my anger. And I hurt you. And I don't want to hurt you.
You see, as you talk, there are now tears, bloody tears that start running down his face. And he makes like a movement with his shoulder as if he wanted to raise his hand to wipe them, but of course his hand can't move.
I'll gently
And
lean
he shakes
forward.
his head.
I lean forward and I wipe his tears for him.
He nods his head, kind of biting his teeth in this, like he wants to say something but can't bring himself to. And then he says, "No, I never wanted to hurt you.
I'm so
You
sorry.
and Kasia and Kuba, you were meant to just run. Just not... It was never about you three."
I know. I know that now. And I'm sorry. I'm going to get you home. It might take us a little bit of time.
Okay. Right, what's...
Gravedigger is going to bring another drop in 2 days. And then we'll review things from there. We'll see how you're doing.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I glanced towards the door. He shouldn't be coming back anytime soon. He's busy. He won't be coming back. So we've got time. We're going to get you healed up, and then we'll get you out of here.
Okay.
And then I'll take you to the garrison.
He's shaking his head, just shaking and nodding his head.
I stroke his face. I've got another one here to get you some more blood.
Okay. And
sorry.
He focuses, and you see that some of the incisions on his body are healing.
I sort of, like, the hand that's been on his face just kind of gently brushes his cheek, and then I move to go lift the man and carry him over, although a lot more awkwardly than the way I carried the woman, as I think the strength has probably faded at this point.
Yeah. But you can, like, get the body there. And he just, like, reaches with his teeth and bites in again and starts drinking. But doesn't lose control this time.
I think this time I'm gently stroking his hair as he drinks. Well, as much as I can while supporting the man's weight.
And then he's done. And he looks to you. Thank you.
Of course.
Fuck, thank you.
And I lean down and I pull him into a hug again.
And he's still shaking. But
And I just sort of lean my head against the side of his head. We're going to get you out. You're going to be free.
he just nods his head, leaning on you.
And I just stay with him for a while, I think.
So you stay there with him. Meanwhile, Janina, you spend some time there, lying in your room. And then there is a knocking on the door.
I take a bit of a moment because I think I'm deep in thought, but then I just come in. I think I don't even ask who it is because I assume it's someone who knows where I am.
So the door opens and Antoni steps in.
Oh.
You see that he's wearing his long military coat, the bottom of a coat and patches on the shoulder are a bit wet, as if he's clearly been outside, and came very quickly here.
Oh, I think when I see it's him, I sit down and gather myself, still be in more composed, and I give him a calm smile. Good evening.
I got a message that you wanted to speak with me.
Oh yes, I.
And he comes in, closes the door, as does the good moment.
Yes. Well, of course, I wanted to speak to you, and I gesture to my bed, for him to sit. And I'm a bit nervous. I'm trying to.
He kind of glances around, but then he sits near you.
And I sit next to him, and I take a deep breath and tell him, well, I wanted to speak to you about, I guess it's both personal and work matter. But Was it yesterday or today? Like, I'm sorry, I'm just.
It was yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday, I was working in my lab and in the hospital, and then Nastya summoned me.
Raises his eyebrows slightly, but kind of gestures not for you to keep going.
And I didn't resist. I wasn't even aware what was happening, but yeah, she led me to a place like it was a New Year's, so like a celebration of people like in the street, and it was like there wasn't anyone else like from the Sabbath, as well as I'm aware of. I think that was just her personal.
What happened?
She just wanted to spend time with me, and she didn't even want to talk about anything. She just wanted to, I guess, unwind and forget everything for a moment. And so I did, but I'm sorry, but I had to tell her. I had to tell her that there's a bloodhound on her.
Roll perception and empathy.
Well, I mean, what he would expect. I have. What's the difficulty?
The difficulty is 6. It's an
Okay, now
advanced
for
roll.
success. For success.
4 successes. Okay. So you actually see through his calm facade that it drops a bit, and you see that he's not really surprised. It's almost like he expected something, and now the heavy awareness that that is exactly what happens settles in. There is a little bit of frustration, but it's almost half-hearted frustration. It's more this tiredness and this weight. He kind of nods his head and says, "All right, Janina. Well, it is my duty, I suppose, to remind you that yes, there has been a blood hunt declared on Nastya Vasilchenko, and that you could be considered an accomplice for helping her."
I understand, but I just couldn't. I still have feelings for her, and I care about her, and I'm sorry. I just couldn't, because I still. We didn't talk too much about what happened with Zygmunt and stuff, but I don't know. I guess I still want to believe that she didn't want to do that. And I'm sorry, and if you feel like punishment is needed, I accept it.
Yeah, Nina, I know you a little bit by now, and I believe that what you did was out of your feelings for Nastya. I could give you a lecture about how you should not have followed your feelings, but rather your mind, and how, while being summoned maybe couldn't have been helped, you should not have spent more time with her than necessary. Not to mention that you are, as all are, under the obligation to help apprehend and destroy her. But, well, I suppose that would be it for now. You've heard it.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
think it's likely to happen again,
I don't know.
based on your interactions?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't know. I think I'm trying not to tell him that we want to meet again.
Roll your
I'm
manipulation and
definitely-
subterfuge.
Yeah, I'm definitely spending a willpower on this.
All right. Difficulty 6.
Okay, a subterfuge and what?
Manipulation.
Okay. Use it. I have 2 successes plus 1 from the willpower, so 3.
Then it's a roll off.
Oh no. I have the same amount without the willpower, so 2, because I guess that doesn't count.
No, it does count. It would
Okay.
count.
Okay, then 3 again.
3. Okay. Then roll perception and empathy again, actually.
Well, that is a botch.
Okay. Then you don't really see much. Antoni just nods his head. Doesn't seem to have picked up on your omission. And says, all right, well, as the sheriff, it is my duty to tell you to be careful. And then he kind of relaxes his face a bit and says, Janina, I really wish you well, but you need to not make it clash with my job.
And your relationship.
He does not mention that.
No, I know. I just nod and I just say, I'm very sorry. It's hard for me not to act on my feelings when I care about her. It's not like if it was just someone from the Camarilla that I just was an acquaintance with, I wouldn't have a problem, but I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you. Well, they asked me to tell you, and well, I know it was the right thing.
I'm glad you told me. At least like this, you're not withholding that information, which would be worse. And he just kind of sighs and shakes his head. I will not punish you or anything like that for this. Just please, Janina, just be careful.
I will. Thank you for listening in and not judging me. I know we had some misjudgments in the past from my side, and I'm sorry for all the pain that I caused you.
He just shakes his head.
But now I'm paying with my sister.
He shakes his head and says, it's not you who caused pain. I just wish you were less reckless.
I know.
You seem to be getting there, Janina. Keep at it.
I'm trying. I really am. If there's anything I can do to help you or Daniel with your job, well, just ask me.
Kind of gives this half smile and says, well, that's a brave declaration to make to the sheriff. But thank you. I will remember that.
Of course.
And I can promise you that your help will be needed at some point.
And I also wanted to thank you for taking care of Bea. She really needs you.
He pauses for a moment, nods his head. She needs you as well. So make sure you are here and stay here.
I know it.
Kind of stands up and then pauses and asks, is there anything else I should know?
No. Nothing, I guess. Nothing beside that. Magdalena is now also helping me at the hospital, but that's just, I guess that's not what you're interested in, but I just thought and well, I pause for a moment, but then I just ask, well, not ask, I will tell him about her wanting the blood for like her sire and their stuff, and if I did the right thing to let her have it.
He listens, nods his head, and then says, yes, I think that was right. If I understand correctly, the purpose of this project was to provide blood for the Camarilla. Of course, you wouldn't want all of it necessarily to go to Clan Tremere, but they are important allies.
That's what I thought. I just thought that Magda deserves like her share of the project for her help.
I don't think you did anything wrong there.
All right, good. And I think I just mentioned it to him what Zygmunt told to me about the Tremere.
He kind of listens and nods his head. All right, Janina. So it's like this. You are working with Magdalena. So of course, she deserves to get something for it, for her clan. And her clan is an important part of the Camarilla. So of course, we will assist them in their endeavors as they are assisting us in wider Camarilla endeavors. They are somewhat insular. From my experience with the Tremere, and my experience is nowhere near as long as this of Mr. Ray was, or of many others, I get a sense they have their own interests that often will align with the Camarilla will not necessarily align with the interest and well-being of those who are working with them. And he stresses it, like almost like he wanted to convey something through it, but didn't want to say more. And they can be, well, fairly ruthless in dealing with issues that arise and with others. Don't say that I told you this, but I would watch what exactly Magdalena is doing and make sure the project that you started with Mr. Ray doesn't slip into her control.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your advice. I will keep an eye on her.
It may be that she genuinely just wants to help. It may be that someone sent her there to insert herself into your work. I don't know which one it is.
Okay, thank you for your advice.
Anytime, Janina. Well, he kind of glances to his watch. Actually, anytime you can find a slot in my ever-busy schedule.
Of course.
I need to get going, but
thank you
for being
by.
honest.
Thank you for not judging me. I hope the rest of your night goes well and be safe.
You too.
And
he leaves you.
Yeah, I walk him to the door and close the door behind him. And then
How
I just
are you feeling?
Go back to my bed, just face down. And I'm just overwhelmed a bit. Like, I'm glad that I told him, and I feel like he handled it better than I would even think. Maybe because of Bea. Or maybe it's just like,
maybe because of that bot for perception.
Yeah, maybe. But I feel like, yeah, I'm thinking if I didn't make a mistake for making Magda work there, but at the same time, like, to me, she seems like genuine. And yeah, I think I keep thinking about Nastya and what to do. And that if I need her another time, like, I won't be able to tell anyone because it wouldn't like let me slip another time. So that bothers me, but I feel like my thoughts just jump from Zygmunt, his words about Tremere, what Antony said about Tremere, about the hospital, about Nastya, about the future. And I just feel like I'm just rolling in bed, kind of frustrated.
And you spend some time like that. Meanwhile, Bea, you spend some time just being with Arek, holding him close. He's not shaking quite so much now. He is generally a bit more in control, but still glances towards the door. Perception and empathy, actually. Difficulty 6.
Perception and empathy. Any hidden pain?
Not quite.
Would insightful apply?
Not quite either, I think.
Nope, that's
it's just
fine.
Straight up seeing what's there. He's not even hiding it right now.
Okay. Sorry, difficulty 6, was it?
6, yeah.
In which case that is 5 successes.
Yeah, that's plenty. So you see that as he is glancing towards the door repeatedly, his head just turning there, um, there is fear on his face. There is some guilt and longing on there as well. And then there's anger and frustration and more guilt and more longing.
I make a note of it, but I think I just leave those thoughts with him. So I just continue to stroke his hair for a while.
After some time, he asks, "So what next? What are you going to do? There will be more from Gravedigger."
Yes.
And there is this hope in his eyes, but also guilt immediately.
There will be more. And I'll bring it to you. And once you're strong enough, then I'll sneak you out of here. I found a side entrance that seems more subtle, so we can get out that way. And we'll get you to the garrison.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to have to leave so that no one misses me. But I'll be back. I'll come check in on you.
All right.
And I sort of take the mixture of like the sort of cloths that were there, and I can use one to sort of prop his head up and almost sort of tuck him in with the dining table with cloth. You'll be all right.
Yes.
Okay.
You feel like he's exhausted as well. You see it clearly that he is engaging with you. There is a lot of emotions there, and at the same time, he's too exhausted mentally to almost talk.
Okay. At which point, I just sort of place a hand on his cheek, just hold it there for a moment, and then we'll leave.
Do you put the stake back in?
No.
No. So you just leave him there unstaked.
I think I sort of pause at the door and just go, hopefully you'll be able to move around soon enough, but please don't leave this room. I'm going to lock the door again just so no one suspects that I've come in here.
All right. Okay.
And I go and lock him back up.
And how are you feeling?
Burnt out emotionally, guilty, numb. Like I just want to cry. I think I'm heading back up towards the upstairs of the hotel. I want to go to my room and just be alone for a bit and just and then I realize how hungry I am, and I stop briefly and then decide I shouldn't wait in case I get distracted. So as much as I want to just curl up and be in my room, I need to be responsible, and I need to make sure I'm not at risk. So I leave the hotel to go hunt.
All right. And I think that's a good moment for a break. So we will be back in about 15 minutes. Please stay with us to continue the story of Janina and Bea and see what happens next. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you after the break. And welcome back. Thank you all so much for staying with us, and let's jump right back in with Janina. Janina, you are just rolling on the bed full of thoughts and emotions. Quite some time passes like this. It is fairly calm, well, not emotionally, but other than that, fairly calm night, not much happening. And eventually, the door starts opening very carefully.
Well, once I notice the door opening, then I glance, and I think I expect Hannah.
And it is indeed Hannah, who is
yay.
very carefully opening the door, peeking in, seeing you on the bed, and it looks like she was about to try to very quietly tiptoe in, but then she notices that you are awake.
I feel like when I notice it and see that it's her, and I just relax and give her like a smile. Hey.
Hey. Sorry, is it okay for me to come in?
Of course.
She closes the door after her and steps in, and then goes to a chair and just kind of sits there and collapses.
How was your day with Magda?
Well, it was not quite a day, but it's fine. I'm adjusting to being awake mostly at night. It was good. She's very focused. She's friendly. She's, well, very efficient in what she does. Almost feels like she's in the hurry. Not in a hectic way, but just she doesn't take many breaks or anything like that.
Yeah, she seems very a good worker.
But I'm learning, and I try to keep up. I can be like that as well.
I'm proud of you. You're doing good.
Mr. Potocki was there. He was asking how you are.
Oh, yes. How are you getting along with him? And
good.
You can be completely honest with me about like anyone, even me, if you want to.
Well,
there's like a problem, just tell me.
No, he's just a bit intimidating. He's this professor from Warsaw. He sometimes uses the words I don't know, and but he's very friendly. I think he helps. I think he wants to teach me. He again mentioned those classes for writing. Would it be okay if I went to one?
Of course. Yes, of course it would be okay. You can do whatever you want.
I'll go then.
This is gonna be good for you.
I hope so. There's one tomorrow, or today during the day.
Of course, that if you want to go during the day,
in the evening. I mean,
you need to have a good sleep.
I probably should lie down. Yes, but don't mind me. I'll fall asleep. You can do your things.
Oh, I think I'm just gonna fall asleep as well very soon.
All right then. I'll just get ready for bed very quickly. And she goes into the bathroom and gets
wait for her
in a shower. She's fairly quick, and then she steps out. All right. Well, it's good to see you. If there's anything I can get for you or
Mm,
help with,
it's okay. You're
just
already
let me
helping.
know.
I will, but you're already helping, and you deserve rest.
Well, just if you ever need anything,
Mm.
just let me know.
Thank you. You're very sweet.
And then
And same goes for you.
she smiles and nods her head. With perception and empathy.
If Michael lets me use the dice, then yes. He's always taking so much space.
Well, if Michael steals your dice, not much we can do.
Yes. Okay, what's the difficulty?
6.
Okay, now I have 4 successes.
Oh yeah, easily. Then you see that when you offer that, she can ask you things, she feels really guilty and self-conscious about it. It's like she doesn't want to bother you with anything. It's not that there is something specific necessarily on her mind right now, but she generally feels a bit like she doesn't want to impose on you in any way.
I just smiled. You really don't, you never bother me. You're my responsibility, and I want you to be happy.
But you've done so much for me already. I really...
Now we're friends, and I care about you. So,
all right, thank you, Janina.
of course. Now let's go. Let's go to bed and have a good sleep. You must be so tired.
Yes.
Michael and sorry, now he's eating the dice.
Oh no, that's not good food. And Hannah lays down and wraps herself in a duvet. And you hear her breathing, which eventually slows down as she falls asleep.
I think I watch her for a bit, like from my bed, and it just feels nice to have someone else, and I care about her. That I'm just like not alone, and that I feel like I can keep her safe. I don't know. I just feel like a parent, I guess. It feels nice. So I think maybe I calm down a bit once I try to like listen to her breathing and maybe just even breathe myself a bit, even if I don't need to. Just like
You can do this. You can force the air into your lungs and back out. It's unnatural almost now. You have to really focus on the movement to make your body do this. Something that when alive you would have done without thinking. But you do it, and how do you feel doing that?
I feel like in this moment it's just like a comfort technique, like to calm myself down, and it's just something that I decided to do in the spur of the moment when I was like watching her. But I feel like once I start like doing it, and I realize how unnatural it is for my body. I feel like there's a bit of jealousy I feel towards Hannah, that she can do it, like that it's natural for her. And I don't know, I guess maybe part of me wishes that our roles were reversed. That I would have someone who would like take care of me, and I wouldn't be so limited by the sun. Yeah, I don't know, I just maybe there's like a bit of like longing for less supernatural, unnatural state.
You miss being alive.
Yeah. And I feel like when I was with Nastya, I really felt more alive. because we were in love, and I don't know, I was feeling more alive, and I guess now I'm feeling it too, with in a different way. So yeah, I think these are Janina's thoughts.
Can you stay with those thoughts for a while after you tried breathing? Meanwhile, Bear, you're going to feed. Are you searching for someone on the street?
Yes.
Then roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 7.
And yes. Okay, or I can fire that across the desk. Single success.
So it takes you some time. You have to. Well, you wander off a little bit from the hotel anyway. You know, it's not advisable to feed. It's like right there. And it takes you some time.
It's getting late.
It's getting fairly late. You are wandering the streets. Maybe it's a bit too late or not like early in the morning enough for people to start heading to work. But eventually you see a young man, you feel still a teenager, walking around, and he's carrying a bag full of newspapers, and he's just walking with purpose, clearly about to go to deliver them somewhere. And he's on his own, and the streets are fairly empty, and you can find the place where you would be able to attack him, to drink his blood out of sight.
Given how I normally walk the streets with unseen passage, I sort of end up standing there watching him for like a little bit longer than I normally would. Just feeling that sort of hesitation in my chest after having seen those two young people. They were both young, weren't they?
Yeah, they were both young people.
Yeah, and I'm both feeling guilty and scared that I might hurt him. But,
so you won't.
But I will eventually follow after him.
So you watch him a bit longer. You hear him hum a melody that you may have heard somewhere when the radio was playing. You see him rubbing his hands. He has some gloves on, but it is pretty cold. And he's trying to get some movement into his fingers. You see his breath on the air. And you follow. And what do you do?
Find an opportune moment and surprise him.
And you are obfuscated, so you can sneak up on him. And when he pauses for a moment to readjust the bag and the newspaper so that nothing falls out, you are able to sneak up to him and lean over and bite into his neck. How much blood do you have right now?
I'm at 6 of 12.
So I would like you to roll self-control with difficulty 6 as you taste his blood.
After the 1. Oh, no, that was another. Okay, I have 2 successes. I thought I only had 1 success.
One would be enough, 2 is better.
2 is better.
So you are in control. How much do you take?
2. as I bite into him and he goes limp, I think I almost like sink down to the ground with him.
All right.
Sort of like cradling his body as I feed on him. And towards the end, as I pull back and lick the wound closed, I just look at his face. And again, I just feel that feeling of just self-disgust. I think it's sort of the slackness to his face. It almost reminds me slightly of being asleep or dead. And so I gently sort of lay him on the ground and then go to stand up.
And you leave him there to head back to the hotel.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Disgusted with myself. I've just got the guilt from earlier just lingering over me, and I normally don't have an issue with feeding. I can normally do it fine, but on this occasion, I just feel a bit like a leech. And I just head back to the hotel. I'm just emotionally exhausted at this point.
And as you're heading back, roll your perception and awareness with difficulty 8.
I don't imagine that's going to affect me unless someone is in my head. So I have 3 successes, including a 10, but I don't think that's doing anything.
Well, that actually would be 4 successes. Because,
oh boy!
As you are walking, you are emotionally exhausted. You are lost in thoughts about what you've done and how you fed off this young man. And suddenly, you get a feeling of someone being there with you and pulling at your thoughts very gently. You find yourself thinking to earlier in the night with Arek. You find yourself from there going to the wheelbarrow and the party you attended at the garrison, and how lost you felt there, how out of place. Then you go back to Arek and how you're doing it for him. The memory of doing it for him finds self somewhere in your head, and everything is hazy. You don't remember exactly everything that happened. There are just images that flash that aren't attached to anything. There is a delicate decoration out of bones. There is this fear, overwhelming fear. There is hope and care. There is a bit of anger and frustration. There's an image of Janina. Roll your perception and occult as this is happening with difficulty 7.
I don't think insightful is going to apply here.
No, not here.
I think so. 4 successes.
So as this is happening, how do you respond? What do you feel? What do you think as this is running through your head?
I think sort of the moment I feel someone sort of like pulling at my thoughts, I'm sort of looking around anxiously, and trying to find or see whoever it is that's in case they're there. But I'm anxious that someone's in my head, and in case someone finds out that that I'm a traitor.
So that thought is there and is also looked at as the gaze gazes deeper into your mind, and you see. What do you think of when you think you're a traitor?
I think of Arik.
Think of Arik.
And I think of sorry, my brain just went entirely blank for names. That's helpful. I think of Janina and kind of almost like the Camarilla as a whole. I and just I'm just feeling really helpful if my brain wasn't going blank. I'm scared that someone is in my head seeing this. I'm feeling very much like I'm under the spotlight.
And you see someone perceiving your thoughts getting hazier as they go further back in time. And there's various feelings and emotions there. There's a flash of face of Mr. Sarnowski and all the emotions that brings. And as this is happening, you begin to smell blood around you. And you see, as you're looking around, you see not in a specific place, but just in front of you, looking pale, colorless eyes, looking at you and past you and through you. And in them is reflected hatred, fear, agony, retribution, and fire. And then it's all gone. And you're alone in your head and alone on the street.
And I think I end up running back to the hotel, just feeling so shaken and just, again, this feeling of like violation of someone having been in my thoughts and not at this moment in time, not being able to place who it was. It feels familiar, but also not. And I'm so frightened and overwhelmed that I just run.
And running, you get back to the hotel. You see some lights in the lobby. The cafe is already closed. It's mostly empty there, but the lights are still on.
I think I don't really stop running until I actually get up to the door and then sort of look around behind me, frightened at the night.
Nothing suspicious there. There is like a couple of people who now begin to walk, you think, to work from somewhere.
I let myself in, still very shaken, and take some comfort from the light, although it's not a huge amount of comfort. And look around. Is there any familiar faces? Or
there is Mariusz at the reception.
I think
he's looking to you, kind of nodding his head, waiting to see if you will want to request something.
I think I just sort of walk in and I'll give him as put together a smile as I can muster, which probably isn't that put together, to be honest. But I will sort of nod to him, but otherwise just head upstairs. Just sort of glancing back out the door once on my way, but other than that, just heading in.
Are you going to your room, or are you going to look for someone?
I need to be alone. I don't. I need to be alone.
So you get to your room. It is fairly late now. You're beginning to feel tired.
I sigh, feeling a little bit more secure when I'm in my space. And I pull out my journal and start making my notes, writing what happened. And I'm just very shaken.
And eventually, although you are shaken, you start feeling the tiredness and sleepiness of the coming morning.
Nice. As I've finished my notes, I close the book up and begin getting ready to go to bed. And just, despite the fact that I want to be alone, I wish that Mother were here. I also wish that Antoni were here, but Mother just pulls at my chest. And I think I end up pulling out the map and just staring at the cathedral on the map as I lie in bed.
And like that, with thoughts of Felicia, your mother and your sire, you fall asleep as Janina falls asleep, full of sense of loss for life and comparing herself and her situation to Hannah's. And it is another day and another night, so you can lose the blood for that night. And you can regain 1 willpower each as well. And Vera, I would like you to roll for nightmares.
Yeah.
Difficulty 7 for that.
Oh boy. Well, after the 1, that's 0 successes.
All right, how apt.
Yes. I can't imagine why that might be happening.
We'll get to that. But first, Janina, you are the first one to wake up as the sun sets and night falls again over the ruined city.
I'm sorry, I'm jealous of Janina getting sleep. I think first thing that I do is to glance at Hannah's battle for a moment. I forgot her name.
Hannah. So you see that she's not there, but there is a note on the table.
I think I lazily just like grab onto it.
And you see that the note just says, "Hey, Janina, I probably won't be here when you wake up. I hope that's all right. I went to try to ask about this reading and writing classes. And you see that the writing is like very, very, at first it is like very messy and scratched out. And then it is like a nice writing. And you get the feeling she went and asked someone to write it for her.
Oh, I think it like puts a smile on my face. And I don't know, I genuinely want her to do good and to learn writing and reading so she could feel better about herself and be more I don't know. I don't want to say useful, like for me, but like for herself, like she could do more stuff and be more like independent. So I think that note like makes me smile, and I wonder who did she ask? But I put the note back and I sit up and just think about my day. And I realized that I promised Jagoda that I'm gonna go with her to have sort of memorial for Zygmunt. Yeah. I think there's like part of me that like wants to go and ask like Isidore if he wants to go. But then I realized that he's like the primogen now and he's probably like busy. But I would take a mental note that if I see him, then I will tell him. But I'm not gonna be like looking for him.
All right. And do you stay in your room? Do you go to look for somebody? You arrange to go not super late with Jagoda.
Yeah.
You still have a little bit of time if you want to do something.
I think I'm gonna go hunt.
All right.
I have like seven blood points that I want to like, put myself in check. So I think I'm
absolutely that makes sense to do this. So you step out of the hotel and roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 7.
Okay, 3 successes.
So it's not much of an issue. You walk to one of the spots where you can try to walk around the streets and eventually find somebody. And you do indeed find a man who is carrying a shovel and smoking, and clearly taking a shortcut going through some of the ruined buildings. And you think you can easily catch him somewhere out of sight.
I just follow him from behind, and when I'm sure that we are alone, I'm gonna jump on him.
Then roll your strength, brawl, and potence. Difficulty 6.
Okay, I have so many dice and I have only 2 successes.
Well, luckily for you, he has none. He rolled worse. So you not quite as easily as sometimes maybe, but still comfortably manage to overpower him and bite in. How much do you take?
Just 2.
All right, so you stop when you know it is safe to do so. And
I'll leave him. I prop him against the wall, and I think he's fine, so I just leave him.
And you return to the hotel?
Yes.
So you start heading there. Meanwhile, Bea, you are running across the ruined city, and you are looking for your mother amid smoke and ruins. There are bombs, fire. The smoke is growing thicker and thicker. You're stumbling upon the rubble. And finally, in front of you, you see a tall cathedral made of darkness. The dark spires are reaching towards black, starless sky. The shadows are shifting and swirling like smoke. And Mother's voice is calling from the inside, from the darkness, from the shadows, whispering your name. And you know she's there, and you know you have to cross the darkness to get there. You want to enter, but you are too afraid. You stop. You can't bring yourself to take a step forward. Your body feels heavy and unmoving, even as you try to will yourself to go into the darkness you can't see through. The ground is shaking as more bombs fall. The shadows sway as they did, unaffected, but you stumble, you fall down, fire explodes around you. Um, the ground is shaking as you roll with the shaking in fear, but are unable to move forward. They're stuck there in front of a tall, dark cathedral. You wake up.
I take a moment to look around the room I'm in, see the map in front of me. I wipe the tears from my face. And just stare for a moment at the map. And then trace my finger along the distance between the cathedral and the hotel. And then I fold the map up and put it in my bag and shake myself. I miss her so badly. Then I pull out my journal and look at it. Look over everything that's been happening. And again, sort of going through my notes and my to-do list, I get the sort of messy mental clash as both the fear of being seen as a traitor to the Camarilla and also the sudden awareness that that wasn't the reason I was doing it, kind of tear in my head. And I realized I should probably give Mr. Cernovsky an update, but I don't really want to talk to him. He did say I could just leave a message, so I think I might just write him a note and leave that to be sent to him.
So you start writing a note to Mr. Cernovsky. There is a knocking on the door.
Who is it?
It's me, Bea. You hear Antoni's voice.
And I kind of not quite throw my journal away, but toss it to one side and go quite quickly to the door. Just so relieved to hear his voice.
He's standing there, dressed in a suit. Doesn't have his coat on quite at this moment.
I'm rolling a self-control check.
Yes.
Preemptively.
Go for it.
I'm good.
Yeah, 6. So
yeah, I'm good. I got 2 successes. So the moment I see him, I just pull him into my arms.
And he gives you a kiss.
I'm so glad to see you.
Glad to see you as well. I stopped by yesterday, but you weren't here. And then I, had to attend to one more matter, and then it was too late to come calling. But I'm glad to see you.
I pull him down for another kiss. I was really worried about you.
What a coincidence. I was worried about you.
And just sort of press my forehead to his.
He steps in, asking if it's okay.
I'm nodding quite fervently. And
he says, I can't stay long. There's, as always, a lot happening and a lot for me to see to, but I
Thank
spoke
you.
to Janina. Thank you for keeping an eye on her.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Of course.
What
Roll
did she?
perception and empathy.
All right.
And then ask, what did she?
Yeah. What did she? I presume this is a contested roll. So,
Yes. It is.
after the 1, that's 3 successes.
All right.
Wait, no, that's a 6. What am I talking about? That's 4 successes.
Then it is a roll-off.
Well then,
So that is like that.
it's just a night of roll-offs with Antoni.
Yes.
Is that a 7 or a 1? That's a 7. Okay. Insightful apply here?
Yes.
Okay, then 5 successes.
All right. Well, then you do better. So ask your question, and I'm gonna give you some insights.
What did she end up telling you?
She told me she saw Nastya and warned her about the bloodhound. That's the most concerning thing, of course. And you see that he hesitates whether to mention something else. And then you see that it's not that he's hesitating about anything else, he's hesitating about whether to mention someone thing. And you see a bit of feeling of just this kind of self-loathing in there.
I sort of look at him and take his hand and just leave the space open for him. I think at this point he possibly recognizes the look on my face if I know exactly what's going on, or I don't know exactly what's going on, but I've seen something. But
She looks to you and says, she told me she doesn't know if she would see her again, doesn't plan to, but she was leaving something out at least.
Sort of frown slightly. I go back to my journal.
But you see that he didn't quite say everything, but some things he just keeps to himself.
Okay. I squeeze his hand slightly and then just go back to my journal to look at my notes about what she told me. I don't have, other than her asking Nastya to look out for Felicia, I don't really have anything else.
Well, that kind of implies that they were planning to speak again, I think.
I suppose so. Sorry, my brain didn't function there.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's not related. God, I'm tired. I frown at the page. No, I don't think that's the whole truth.
No, but, well, at least she shared this. I gave her a talk. I'm not sure what good that will do. Tried to be less lecturing sheriff. But I didn't really come to speak about Janina. I came to see you and ask how you're doing.
I'm getting by, I suppose. I'm also glad that Janina spoke to you, and it wasn't particularly difficult to encourage her to do that. But just worried. And then I think of the pale eyes and sort of shake myself out of that memory. But I'm feeling a lot better for having seen you.
Likewise.
Thank you for making the time. And I wrap my arms around his neck and kiss him again.
And he kisses you.
And sort of murmur to him, I'll need to get you a key of your own.
I'm sure I could get one from downstairs.
Good.
But I don't want to come in when you're not here.
Fair enough, but you're welcome here.
Thank you. We should spend more time together, maybe later tonight. Maybe I can come in, spend a day here.
I'd like that. I'd like that very much.
I will need to go in a moment. I'm sorry.
I understand. But I hope your evening goes well. And I look forward to seeing you later.
Stay safe, Bea. Be careful.
And you. And I kiss him once more and then let him go.
And he kisses you. And we will come to Janina for a moment now, as Antoni leaves.
Michael was having a nightmare.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh no, poor baby.
I tried to wake him and he was like completely startled.
Oh no.
Yeah, but he's fine. He's awake now.
Okay. Right. So, Janina, you're coming back to Hotel Bristol, and what do you intend to do once you're there? Do you want to look for someone or just wait for Jagoda?
I think I'm gonna go to Elysium to see if Bea, Daniel, Isidore, I don't know, like someone. And I will probably wait there for Jagoda, unless I meet someone else. But, yeah. Did we settle like on a time?
Yeah, you did. There's like a little bit of time, but not huge amount.
Okay.
Still. So
Then
you
I'm
are heading to Elysium. And you see,
sorry, I think I just knocked something with my legs.
it's all right now. It's again, okay, never mind. So you go to the Elysium, and from the people that interest you, you see that Daniel is indeed there. He's kind of not really sitting, he's standing and pacing, looking like he's maybe waiting for someone.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go up to him.
He notices you, starts heading towards you. And then just smiles. My child.
My sire. My daddy.
You say that?
Yeah, no, it's me, Dolores, saying that.
That's you.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, he still smiles and shakes his head. And then he looks more serious. How are you holding up?
I'm all right. I'm supposed to go with Jagoda to pay respects to Zygmunt, like to his ancestors' graves, and she wants to spread a bit of his ashes there. So I'm gonna go with her in a bit.
Yes, of course she would want to do that.
How are you doing?
Tired. Worried about you.
So the usual.
Wondering where Antoni is. He was supposed to meet me here.
Oh, I'm sure
But I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure
honestly, I enjoy having a moment to just wait around.
Yeah, you became such a busy man. Michael, nech to. Sorry, but Michael's destroying everything apparently
Oh
today.
no.
Wake me from my slumber. I cause chaos and destruction.
Yeah, he found my iPhone
Oh no.
headphones and he's chewing them. And I just smile. You're a busy man.
I am indeed. He kind of glances around, sees Stefania, who is sitting there. Not that many people here at the moment. You see that Conrad is there, chatting to Stefania, but not many other people you recognize. And Daniel just says, "Yeah, well, comes with a job. Never thought I'd be doing this job, but curious how it goes."
I'm sorry. I know I got you into this job.
You started it, but then, I wasn't forced. Antony asked me, and it seemed like a thing to do now that we are part of the Camarilla again.
Yeah, well, at least it makes you feel useful.
Yeah, for all the good it does to me.
Just keep
I'll
yourself
tell you
safe.
what, sometimes I wish I was a bit more useless. But well, someone's gotta do it, and I don't know. It helps me keep you safe.
Well, also keep yourself safe, please, for me.
Doing my best. Still here.
I know. And I gently pat him on the face.
And he smiles at you. And you spend some time with him just chatting.
I probably tell him like that I spoke with Antony, like he will know what about, but I'm like not mentioning it like in the Elysium, but I just tell him that I spoke with him.
So he nods his head. He just nods to that and doesn't he realizes what you're talking about and it doesn't go deeper into any details.
And aside that, I just think we are like small talking. Maybe I'm talking about Hannah and like how she's adapting and that she's trying to learn to write and to read and stuff like that.
And he listens and comments, I spoke to Hannah a bit. She seems, well, resourceful, used to very difficult life. I think overwhelmed by everything.
Yes, but I'm sure she'll adapt. She's a good girl.
I'm sure she will, with help.
I intend to keep her safe.
You do that. And I'll watch out for you, he says, winking at you. And you chat for some time. And meanwhile, Bea, Antony leaves.
I guess I'm getting dressed.
You're getting dressed and ready. It doesn't take you very long time.
No. Sorry, I'm looking at her to-do list because I don't remember what I'm doing. Like character, like player. So I think I will maybe go and check in with Mr. Domaniewski.
All right. So you start getting ready. And after that you leave and you go to the room that you know was allocated to your ghoul who had your blood once so far, Mr. Edward Domański. It's not on the same corridor, but it's not far from where you are staying.
Okay.
it's one building, nothing is really far. So you get there and you are in front of his doors.
I'll knock.
There is a little bit of silence. And then the voice says, "Who is it?"
It's me, Bear.
All right. And you hear the footsteps coming up to the door and the lock opening. And you see Edward Dumański. He is looking a little bit disheveled, not massively, but you see there is a little bit of facial hair, just a stubble growing on his face. His hair looks like it hasn't really been combed for a bit. His shirt is a little bit crinkled. Um, and his eyes are a bit puffy, a bit reddened. But he opens the door and his face goes really serious and he straightens. Miss Woźniak.
Good evening, Mr. Dumański. I just wanted to drop by and see how you were doing. Internally, my heart's like slightly breaking for him, but I'm trying to not show that immediately.
I am, well, I wouldn't say I'm doing well, that would be a lie. But I'm considering the circumstances.
All right.
Do you want to come in or do you just like stay there?
I think I will sort of pause for a moment and then sort of ask if I can come in.
Of course, please.
Thank you. Yeah. It's that sort of like partially like not wanting to like intrude on his space, but also not necessarily wanting to have the conversation out in the corridor.
So you come in. You see that there are a few cups that are just have coffee stains in them. They're clearly cups of coffee left there. You see that there is a bottle of vodka that's not emptied, but clearly has been drunk from.
Okay.
And you see there are also photographs on the table.
Okay. Can I see what the photographs are?
Yes. If you come up, you see that in one photograph you see him, Mr. Dumański, with another man with a bit wavy hair, who looks vaguely familiar, like you maybe have seen him. They're both looking a bit younger than Mr. Dumański is now. The other man is a bit better dressed, and they are posing outside of, you think, a brand new, elegant car. On another photo, it is a formal picture, photograph of this other man. Again, looking a bit younger than, for example, Mr. Dumański appears dressed in a white shirt and a suit. In another photo, there are two boys who are on a picnic, just on a tablecloth spread it out on the grass, and are there brandishing some wooden toys.
Okay. I think I don't like spend a huge amount of time looking at them. I kind of glance at them, take it in, process the information, and then just feel really bad for him. But I turn away quite quickly, not sort of wanting to like make a scene of looking at it. And if there's any seating or anything in the room.
There is. You're sort of, well, there is a chair at that table where he clearly has been sitting, and there is a bed in there as well. And he's kind of coming in with you and gesturing for the chair. Please take a seat, Miss Wozniak.
Thank you. And I will sit down and sit reasonably primly. When I went in past him, I presume as he held the door open or something, did I get the smell of alcohol off of him?
Not quite. You did
Okay.
get a smell of sweat, like he maybe hasn't
Stale.
like yeah, but not he's not like the bottle
not
is not like
drunk.
empty. He has
Yeah.
been drinking, but he's not drunk right now, definitely.
That's fine. I just wanted to be sure what state
Yeah.
he was in before I started
No.
talking. Okay.
Before you start talking, preemptively, please roll your perception and awareness with difficulty 8.
Okay. And awareness. Okay. Does insightful or hidden pain apply here?
No, not for this.
Okie dokie. Oh, there's a 1 there. That is 5 successes.
That's plenty.
Woo!
All right, okay. So you sit down and he kind of, doesn't know where to go, but then he just sort of stands.
And would you be more comfortable sitting on the bed, or you're welcome to stand if you want?
Perfectly all right, Miss Wozniak.
Of course.
Do not trouble yourself on my account.
Well, I like fussing over people, so I suppose you'll perhaps have to get used to that. I apologize in advance.
As you say that, the window that you realize was not fully closed, it was like slightly open, letting in some air. There is this gust of wind that opens it more, and some of the drapings swirl around and almost seem to, they don't quite reach Mr. Domański, but almost seem to reach for him, and you find yourself look at the patterns of the swirl and listen to the wind that seems to barge into the room briefly as Mr. Domański rushes to close the window. The drapings swirl around him, and you realize you see an omen, and you see an omen of despair and death circling and closing in around him.
Okay.
Oblivious to it all, he closes the windows and just this time locks it shut and says, oh, my apologies, Miss Wozniak. Please continue.
Of course. Do I, from seeing that, do I get the sense that he would hurt himself?
Roll perception and empathy. At difficulty 6.
Okay. That is once again 5 successes.
All right, yes, he had 1 success, so
Honey.
there were some ones there.
Oh boy.
So you look to him, observing him, and you get a sense that there is certain tension since you came in, like he is waiting to tell you something. And you look at the photographs he's been looking at and the alcohol, and you look to him, you see as there is this decision, there is also certain calm about him. Like there was something, like when you previously spoke to him, it didn't seem to be there. From like the sense of it is different. When you think of him, you remember him being very shaken, very emotional. Now there is clearly emotions there, but there is this certainly and being calm, and you get the sense that it very well could be that he intends to hurt himself.
Right. Okay. So I'm sort of looking at him very carefully. May I call you Edward?
Of course, Miss Wozniak.
You're welcome to call me Bea.
Of course, Bea.
Thank you. And I give him a warm smile. How have the last couple of nights been treating you?
I have been thinking about what happened, Miss Wozniak. Sorry, Bea.
That's all right.
Remembering Mr. Stigel. Missing him. I've been reconsidering my place in the world without him. I've been thinking how to tell you, but I made a decision that I must decline your vita. I understand what you are trying to do for me, and I appreciate it, but I don't think for a moment that I don't. I know what you offered to do for me, but I can't stand the thought of loving you, even though I am grateful for what you offer. I could not live like this.
I understand that. However, whilst I hear you, I would like you to give it a few more days of thought, maybe a week or so. There's certainly some time before I would necessarily need to give you another dose anyway. So I think that we should hold off on any formal decisions until closer to that time. Is that acceptable?
Roll persuasion and charisma with difficulty 8.
Okay, persuasion and charisma. I would like to spend willpower on this
Of
because
course.
I don't really want this man to do something reckless. I somehow don't think that polite is helping me in this.
No, no, it's not in this case.
I'm calling that one. 4 successes.
4 successes. So he looks to you. All right, Miss Wozniak, if... I'm sorry, Bear. The habits. If you think it appropriate, I will consider it further.
I would appreciate that.
Sorry, you went very quiet.
Sorry, I just spoke very quietly.
Yeah.
I would appreciate that. Thank you. Could I roll self-control to touch him?
Yes, absolutely. Difficulty 7.
Okay, on this occasion, I'm fine, and I'm able to, unlike the last time I interacted with them. And I stand up from the chair and I just place a hand on his shoulder and just say, and sort of glance back at the photographs. I understand that you must be in a lot of pain right now. And I would hate for something to happen to you. Stemming from that.
He looks to you and says, Bea, I don't really know you, except for the kindness you've shown me. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know. He kind of shakes his head, glances to the photographs. I'll consider it further, if you insist.
I do. And I stand there sort of wanting to say something more, but I'm almost not sure what to. And then I pause and look at the photographs. Do you want to talk about him?
And because you rolled for successes earlier, he nods his head. And we'll come back to that. Meanwhile, Janina, you are chatting to Daniel when you see Antoni enters. He nods to you and
I nod to him.
comes up to Daniel. Daniel just says, well, that would be me. Duty calls.
Of course, I'll leave you boys to your
You stay
duties.
safe. And soon after, you see Jagoda is in. She steps into the Elysium. She's still wearing the sunglasses that she was wearing last time, that you haven't really seen her wear before. She's wearing a short jacket, clearly getting ready to go out. And she glances to you and immediately heads in your direction.
I give her a smile and good evening.
Good evening. Are you ready to go?
Yes, of course. Have you spoken with Isidore and asked him if he wanted to accompany us?
I have. He told me he's been there already.
Okay, good.
And I think maybe he would have wanted, but there's things to do with my sire being back, and he didn't want to stop the two of us. I know he has his own way of grieving. They had
I
a
thought he might be busy.
complicated but close relationship.
All right then, let's go.
Let's go. And you step out of the hotel. You start heading through the city, passing the partly bombed out buildings, just fragments of walls reaching up, the piles of bricks where the buildings collapsed. And you're walking. Yagoda doesn't really speak much unless you want to talk.
I think I may probably, once we are somewhere alone, I will ask her about the sunglasses.
As you're alone, you step out of the hotel, you're walking the streets. She she kind of gives this labored sigh. So, well, when I spoke to my sire, we didn't exactly see eye to eye, and I lost it a couple of times, and it left me with these. And she kind of takes a look around, but then no one is around. And she lowers her glasses, and you see that her eyes reflect light in this red glimmering way that you wouldn't see in a human as much as in an animal. And her pupils are also slightly misformed as well.
Mm. I think I just like nod and say, I think it's kind of pretty.
Glad you think that. I don't mind it as much. I've seen people have it way worse. But I can't show it.
Go
around.
away on its own.
Oh, it doesn't go
Oh
away.
yeah, that's I understand.
It stays. Oh, it stays. It's not too bad as far as
Oh no.
it happens to my clan, where sometimes when you lose control.
So you're gonna be wearing sunglasses for the rest of your life.
When I'm around people, I mean humans.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not too bad. It's only gonna get worse. But hey, it is what it is. At least, well, it's nothing more pronounced. Blame my sire for that. If she wasn't so fucking stubborn and annoying, I wouldn't have lost it.
Does she also has something like that?
Yeah, more than me.
Can't wait to see her.
It's not fully obvious. She makes some efforts to hide it when she has to. But I think that's also part of the reason why she just prefers to be out the city. The other one is that she can't stand, well, the city folks, as she calls them, and most of the Camarilla.
Understandable.
Yeah, I suppose it is. I know I complained. She's not really bad, She did me a solid back when she embraced me.
Well, sorry, me, the player, forgot what I wanted. I wanted to ask something and it completely
Right, no worries.
glitched.
Oh, if it comes back, then you can ask
Yeah.
them. She continues. I guess she didn't expect me to fall in love with the city life.
Is that part of your disagreements?
Yeah, that's most of it. It's not as bad as I make it sound. I was in a bad mood because I argued with her a lot on the way here. Well, we're both from the countryside. Well, I never really expected to fall in love with the city either. That was never been to the city before she brought me here on some Camarilla business. I think she didn't expect me to want to stay. She was a bit disappointed, a bit angry. But I quite liked the bars and the inventions and people. It was, well, I know it's full of shitty people and Camarilla is full of shit, but it was a life I never imagined for myself. And then I met Sigmund and he offered to teach me. So I stayed, and
yeah, he has
Rosalia
he
wasn't
ways.
really, well, She didn't necessarily dislike Sigmund as much as many others, but she wasn't keen on him corrupting me or whatever.
Yeah, I understand that. Sigmund had this way about him, and I spent only very short time with him. Who knows? He might made me a Camarilla, a 100 Camarilla.
From what I see, he made a good start.
Mm.
And don't take it the wrong way. I think that's good. It's fine to talk shit about Camarilla sometimes. Everyone needs a release. But the other way with Isidore tried, it doesn't really work. And my sire, she's a tough woman on her own, and she can make it work for herself because she can just go into the forest and live there for years if need be.
Yeah, Janina jealous.
But well, it doesn't quite work for everybody, and I know it's dangerous out there.
A new plan forming in Janina's head.
Do you say anything back to
No,
it, or do you just
I think
fantasize about
she-
leaving?
Yeah, I think Janina just like imagines like running with Nasty living in the forest. But I just nod and listen to her.
You try to hide those thoughts and
Maybe,
show your
yeah.
self-control and
Oh, no.
subterfuge.
Mm. Well,
Difficulty 6.
one success.
So she picks up on something as you're becoming more maybe dreamy, scheming somewhere back when she talks about going into the forest. What, dreaming of running away?
Well, I would be lying if I would say it sounds a bit appealing.
I mean, I don't really say it. As for me, I ultimately chose to stay here with Zygmunt and learn, but it's not that easy, you know. My
I realized my
sire is an old gangrel. She can just melt with the earth and spend the night wherever. When she's out there, she can become a wolf when needed. She can really blend in.
I was born in the wrong clan.
Perhaps, but even then, it's dangerous out there. Sabat, well, doesn't bother with the wilderness often, but you can encounter them, and she's tough enough to, well, rip few of them apart if needed. Knows when to run as well.
Yeah, I know. I just fantasize a bit.
Don't blame you for wanting to run. Just
seems simpler life, but yeah, I understand that it's not easy.
don't know if it's simpler. Probably. But it's tough. From what I hear, it's tough.
Yeah,
It was tough when I was alone with her as well.
Yeah.
It felt great at the start. I mean, I finally wasn't scared and felt powerful for, I think, the first time in my life. And then I realized I'm not quite as powerful as I thought I was. But hey, I guess that's the awakening that comes for us all.
Are you able to turn into a wolf?
No.
Shame, I want to see that.
Well, maybe one day, but not quite.
All right. Well, I guess that's what we are like chit-chatting.
And you're chit-chatting like that, and you are walking. Eventually, you get to the part of the city that was all bombed out, that you crossed before on your way to Powązki Cemetery.
Oh,
But now you see that some of the rubble has been cleared, not all of it, but in some places it is just flat earth, now covered with snow, which makes walking easier. And in the distance, you see the only building that is still standing in this area, which is the dark figure of St. Augustine's church. But you are giving it a wide berth, knowing it to be a known Sabbath haven. Roll perception and alertness with difficulty 9 as you are walking.
oh. 3 successes.
3 successes. So you see at some point very faint shape above you of a bird, maybe a crow, circling over you. Dark against the dark sky. Easy to miss.
Pointed to Yagoda.
She looks up, and then sees right away when you point it out.
And I also point to the church.
Noted. Let's pick up speed, try to be a bit more sneaky.
Yes. It would be a shame if we joined Zygmunt on our memorial walk.
She glances to you and she wants to laugh, but then there is this dark feeling on her face. And she just keeps going towards the cemetery.
And I follow her.
Meanwhile, Bea, you're sitting with Mr. Domański, who starts telling you about Mr. Szczygieł, telling you how he was his friend back in childhood. He says, my family worked for his family. So we basically grew up together in the way servants' children often do. We were friends. I always felt welcome by him. His parents didn't really mind us playing together, and I knew how things were. I knew he was to inherit his father's business. I was hoping to stay with him, get a job there, like my father and my mother. And I did. I first started working the estate. He left for the university. I asked to accompany him. At first I couldn't, but he made it happen. I, of course, couldn't study as such, but I was there with him, assisting him, serving him, listening to his worries and first loves and everything. We really were quite close. He was a very thoughtful man, very, well, back in the day, he was very, I would say, very good, very conscientious, very principled. He wanted to continue family's business, live up to it as the eldest son, and was quite a visionary in a way, had an idea for growing the enterprise and improving some of the conditions in there. He and his father, they were good employers always. And I know he wanted to continue in that vein, quite responsive to the workers as well. But then something changed. He became more distracted. I know now that that was just before he was embraced. He was getting to know his sire. And he was embraced. He seemed distressed. He didn't want to let me know. He didn't want to worry me. But I could see through him. I could always see right through him. And he told me what happened. And of course, I wanted to stay with him. So he offered me his vita. And we've been together ever since. We were very close, you must understand, Miss Wozniak. He was my best friend, as well as my master. We shared each other's lives, each other's worries, the whole content of each other's hearts. He confided in me in all the worries that come with the embrace, and I know there were many. And I listened and I supported him, and well, could be there for him, and he was there for me when I was worried about my future of my family. Even though he disappeared, I know he did what he could to help my now aging parents and my sister. He was really good for me. And he looks to the photos again. I can't imagine being bonded that closely to anyone else.
And once again, I put a hand on his shoulder and I say, I'm so sorry for your loss.
I appreciate it, Miss Wozniak.
He sounds like a good man. And I'm sad I never got the chance to meet him.
He was very busy. I know
fair.
he had his contacts. Sadly, you weren't among them, but
well.
I'm sure he would have been grateful for what you offered.
And I will continue to offer.
You see, he tenses a bit.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yes, it will wait.
Thank
Some
you.
more time, I can promise you this.
Thank you. And then I pause and I mean, I've already mentioned to him that I don't want him to make any sort of rushed decisions. I'm not sure whether to mention that I'm concerned that he's going to choose something self-destructive, but I suppose that was implied, but I don't know whether implication is enough. I'm just trying to gauge.
You get a feeling that it is implied and he gets it. And he is, you rolled really well before winning him. So he gets it and he is agreeing to wait, which doesn't necessarily mean that he will change his decision. But when he says that he can promise you that he will wait, he means it.
All right. Well. In the meantime, I would like you to try and do something for me over the next few days.
What would you like me to do?
I'd like you to go outside. Get some fresh air. Enjoy the sunlight.
All right, Bear. I will try this.
Thank you.
And you see that he seems absolutely unconvinced, but he will do it almost like as a duty.
Yeah, you've been told. Got you. I'll come by and check in with you later, but just look after yourself.
Nods his head. Thank you, Bear.
What was the name of his friend again? Sorry.
Filip Szczygieł.
I feel like Philip would not forgive me were I not to make sure to take care of you.
He smiles a little bit and shakes his head and you get a feeling that he is holding back tears.
I will look away for a moment and give him a moment.
And then he composes himself.
Right. Well, I'll give you some space and I'll check in with you soon.
Thank you, Ms. Wozniak. Bear. And you see that he is very used to this sort of mannerism, and he almost always feels awkward when he tries to say your name.
If it makes you feel any better, I suppose when we're outside, you can call me Miss Wozniak.
I'm sure I will many times.
Very well. Right. Well, take care. And I give him a warm smile and another sort of squeeze to the shoulder, and then I'll head out of the room.
And where are you headed?
I think
How are you feeling? Before we talk about where you're headed.
I think I spent some time in the corridor for a bit. So maybe not like right at the door, but and just processing what just happened. And I'm very worried. I've really just met this man in a lot of ways, but seeing that there's a chance that he might hurt himself was really quite sobering. And I suppose I mean, if someone tried to replace Felicia, I suppose I could see myself acting similarly, but I want to try and see if there's some other option, or if I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily want to force him to stay, but I'm going to try and do my best to make sure that he sees the opportunity and I can maybe bring him some hope or something that encourages him to keep going.
When you think of opportunities and hope and things to keep going in the kindred society, what comes to your mind?
In terms of hope, I think of Antoni, of Janina, of Roman. I think of the people that I care about that are here. And they are what makes night to night worth living. And it makes me sort of realize that I do my duty because I want to make things safer for them. I want to make I want a place where they can exist in less fear. And I keep going because I want to stay with them. And that's quite a grounding thought, I suppose. But I think for now I'm primarily sort of focused on Edvard and the worry that I have for him. And I kind of want to ask Janina for some advice, but because, well, she has 2 ghouls. She has twice the number that I do. But I feel like she's also better at these things, like knowing how to live, if that makes sense. I'm wondering if part of that with me is the fact that I don't remember being alive. I don't really remember what motivated me in life. So I don't know how much that changes between human and kindred. I don't really have a comparison there. I don't know. I think the other thing that it makes me realize is I want to go and check in with Roman. I want to make, whilst he's stuck in the room, it means that he's here, and I want to make the most of the time while he's here. And so I start heading towards his room, wanting to appreciate my friends and loved ones.
All right. And Janina, you are walking with Yagoda, and eventually you get to Povonsky Cemetery, and you see that once you are here, Yagoda removes her sunglasses, just puts them in the pocket of her jacket, and her eyes start almost glowing red in the darkness, as she is very aptly picking the path where you can't even see in many places, walking between graves. You see some of the tombs are damaged. There are bullet holes in the stones. And you remember this as the place where you were with Bea and Mara once, looking for Felicia and Roman, where for the first time you met the Assamite who later participated in the attack on the Anarchs where Mara died. And Yagoda is leading the way, now quiet, looking around. And what's on your mind as you're walking through there?
I think about everything that happened since the last time we were there. Mara's gone, all the people that we met, that I reunited with Daniel. Felicia's gone, like how many things has changed. And that at that time I had no idea that Zygmunt, someone I will end up looking up to, will be there in this way. So I guess I'm like nostalgic. I don't know. Michael's keep looking at me, and I have no idea what's like he's looking at. Like, is there like a bug on me? Like I don't know, but I'm expecting being pounced on.
Just looking at you.
Yes. So I feel like nostalgic and sentimental, and like in deep thought. But I'm trying to be aware, because I know we might not be alone.
So you are aware of your surroundings, and for a while you don't really see much. But eventually, Yagoda stops, and she stops in front of a large stone sarcophagus. And you see the writing on there saying it is a Ray family tomb. And you see the names of people on there who have died in 19th, early 20th century, must have been descendants of Zygmunt's family. And you stop there with Yagoda, and you see that the crow, that's maybe the one you've seen before, maybe a different one, sits at a different tombstone, maybe some 20 meters from here, and glances towards the two of you for a moment and then flies away.
I exchange glances with Yagoda, and I expect her to handle this animal situation.
Yagoda looks. It's gone now. Let's keep an eye out. If it appears again, well, strange as it might sound, I'll try to talk to it.
Oh no, I know Roman did that too, so we're aware.
Well, at least it saves me that awkward conversation.
I think it's pretty cool.
She smiles and nods, but then looks back to the tomb, and her eyes and face becomes more sober.
I place my hand on her shoulder and also look at Ray's family crypt, or what was it?
Just like a big stone sarcophagus, where you would bury many people in the same tomb.
Yeah,
It's a tomb, basically.
Okay.
She does as well. She just says, I miss him so much.
I understand. I miss him too. He understood me in a way that a lot of others don't. And he truly was like a father that I never had.
He was like that to me as well. I don't think I would have stayed in the city. And if it wasn't for him, well, my sire was the first person who believed I could be independent. But Zygmunt was the first person to believe I could be a scientist, someone I didn't know someone like me could become.
He was a good man, and I'm sure he would be proud of us to be there for him and doing this. I'm sure he would appreciate that.
I hope he's somewhere and can see.
I hope so too.
And she takes out a wooden box where she opens and has some ashes in there. And she says, well, opening it would be disruptive, but I think if we leave some on here.
I'm sure he would be happy to be close to his family.
And she starts sprinkling, just spreading some of the ashes on the tomb, and there is a part of it which has just the earth in there, with now withered, but you think there are some flowers that just have been planted that are growing in this stone pot that's part of the tomb, and she puts some there and mixes the ashes into the earth. And then she takes out, she leaves some of the ashes for herself and puts it in her pocket back in the wooden box and says, I have some of his ashes if you'd like to have some as well. I don't know if you care for mementos like that.
I would like that if you could get me something to hold them in, or if I find something nice.
I have some. And she takes out similar wooden box. I thought you might want it.
Oh, thank
So
you
here
so
you
much.
go.
And I take it and put it in my pocket, in my jacket. And I just probably like say some nice things about Zygmunt, like some like moments that when he made me feel, I don't know, close to him, like when he was always like tolerated my back talking, and I don't know, just like some moments from the past. Like honestly, I'm so tired. I barely can like think of anything.
There were stories about how
I know
he
that,
tolerated you and taught you and believed in you as well.
Yes. And I will definitely like talk about like he entrusted me with the project, and it meant a lot to me.
And Yagoda also shares some stories about how he showed her some of his machineries. When he saw her looking at the cars, he explained to her how one works, and that grasped her interest, and he would always invite her. He spoke to her sire when she became really angry that Yagoda wanted to stay, and then taught her and helped her adjust to the city and the Camarilla and learn engineering and maths and physics, things she never imagined a woman from the countryside who couldn't read or write could know. And as you speak, she lights a candle on the grave. And
I just probably maybe say some prayer. I don't know if I know some.
You definitely know some. You're from Poland in the 40s. So you say a prayer, and she does as well. She joins you in a prayer. And what's in your mind as you're praying?
I don't really like believe in like God and stuff like that, but I hope that he is somewhere and that he can see how much people, kindred, care for him and how much he meant to not just us, but like a bigger picture as well. Like, and I hope that his project that he entrusted me will live on and he always be remembered through that.
And I think with that, we will finish for tonight. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much for running and playing.
I know you're both tired, so let's wrap this up now. It's a work day after all. Thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate you being here with us to continue the story of Bea and Janina. We will be back again in 2 weeks from now, yes, on the 30th of April, here on the Lamias channel at 6:30 p.m. British summertime right now. And we hope to see you here again to see what happens next to our kindred. And until then, keep well and good night.
Good night. Bye.